Earlier, I spoke with Ali Shihabi, an author and expert commentator on Saudi affairs, on the issue of normalisation with Israel and other key issues that are likely to be discussed and agreed on today ahead of the Crown Prince's visit. He wrote in an op-ed for the Washington Post that, quote, MBS, the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, often known as MBS, has been clear. Normalisation with Israel can only succeed if tied to real progress towards a Palestinian state. Well, I asked him what real progress will look like or should look like as far as the kingdom is concerned. Have a listen.
Real progress will be defined as, entering phase 2 of the Gaza Accords, bringing in an international force, a full Israeli withdrawal from Gaza, and sort of concrete steps taken towards recognizing a Palestinian state and putting in place the machinery to move towards that objective.
Would you describe the Crown Prince's steadfastness on this Palestinian issue and it being too early to announce normalisation at this point? Would you put that down as creating friction with Donald Trump at this point, or not?
Look, Donald Trump, when he was in Riyadh last time, and even stated it publicly to the prince, he said, I know you will do it on your own time. So he understands that the kingdom has its regional and domestic political considerations. The president, will say what he wants to say sometimes, but I think deep down he understands that there has to be concrete, irreversible steps in that regard. There will be no announcement of normalization during this trip. We have to go through stage 2 of the Gaza process. We have to get a machinery in place that the Israelis can't wiggle out of, that moves us towards a Palestinian state before the kingdom can even start any activity in that regard.
All right, let's talk about what is likely to happen in terms of sort of tangible results on this trip. What can the kingdom expect in terms of defence, Ali?
The core of the visit will be around a security agreement signed between America and Saudi Arabia, which will bring military coordination, defence, arms supplies, all very much more coordinated and closer. So I think that's the most important component that will come out of the visit. There'll also be a civilian nuclear component. There will be agreements on AI. There'll be agreements on rare earths. There'll be agreements on mining, on natural gas.
Just want to have a look at the AI file. Will the Crown Prince be asking for the export of significant chips?
Yes, very much so. I mean, the kingdom is going to take a big bet on data centers and on starting to build an ecosystem for AI in the region. It's working in close cooperation with all the major American players. Many of them are investing in the kingdom. The kingdom is already an investor in many of them. And chips are an integral part of that. So I expect that to be part of the agreements that are signed.
Saudi has become a key strategic partner for Washington in what many describe this as this sort of US-China great power competition. Can you just explain how the sort of deals that we might see play into that framing?
Rare earths are important because at the moment China is one of the only suppliers, but Saudi Arabia has a capacity to supply that also. But, Saudi Arabia maintains a very solid relationship with China. China is a major purchaser of Saudi oil, and that close relationship will continue. There are certain issues that concern the Americans about technology sharing, particularly when it comes to defense equipment and things like that the kingdom is bearing in mind. But at the end of the day, the kingdom, as a middle power in the Middle East, will always maintain a solid relationship with China, but looks upon America as its strategic partner, really, in economically and militarily, in security-wise, and in the region.
In your op-ed in the Washington Post over the weekend, you address the current criticism in some circles of Saudi Arabia's spike in executions, which you say, and I quote here, understandably strike international observers as draconian. How much appetite is there, genuinely, for legal reform in the kingdom?
It's not a question of appetite. Legal reform has been a top priority for the Crown Prince. And I mean, this is something that has been ongoing for a number of years. The whole legal system is being turned upside down. It's being codified. Judges are being trained. Laws are being modernized. It's a very long, arduous, difficult process. You can't just come in and fire the whole legal system. You have to retrain them. That takes time. You have to reconcile Sharia law with more modern legal concepts. Now, there are ideological differences, of course. There are people who are against capital punishment, and Saudi Arabia suffers from a very big drug problem. As a result, it pursues draconian policies, if you want, to fight that, and that gets criticized globally. But, people haven't come up with a better solution about how to fight the drug war.
Finally, to your mind, what does the Crown Prince hope to achieve ultimately?
Ultimately, the trip itself is a win because, the relationship began to improve dramatically in the last year and a half of the Biden administration on an institutional level. That carried over very easily into the Trump administration with the added element of a personal relationship between the Crown Prince and President Trump. It's being treated as a state visit in Washington. Even though the Crown Prince is a head of government, he's not a head of state. And the symbolism of that drives home a point, really, about how close this relationship has become.